First things first, how did you get started? What was your first idea?
Well, I think I was inventing and taking apart things ever since I was a little kid. And I fell in love with solar energy, actually, when I was 15 years old. There was an energy crisis in California. I wanted to make something to solve it. And I started making little parabolic concentrators and little heat engines in my hopes of making a small contribution to solving the world's energy problems. This was back in 1973.
And how did that work out for you? Because they're still trying to get solar right, I guess.
Of course. Well, I started this little company, Solar Devices. I made plans and kits and sold them in the back of Popular Science magazine. And I sold them for $4. And I sold 10,000 of them, which helped me pay my way through college and maybe even helped me get accepted to Caltech and in the first place.
Wow.
So it really worked out well.
I used to remember those ads they had in like Boys Life. Like you can build like the hovercraft and all that stuff. So I probably saw your ad
Yeah,
back
my
in the
ads were
day.
right next to those.
Let's talk about how you got started, or how many companies you have started, because at last count, what do we have?
Well, we're more than 100 now. I started Idealab in 1996 when I learned that I love starting companies. And I was always starting them serially, one after another. I'd build a company, grow it, potentially sell it, take it public. But I really felt I wanted to learn how to start companies in parallel. And I wanted to have a place where under one roof we could have multiple companies going together and I could recruit the best talent to make that happen. So Idealab was really my company factory. And we started making companies almost one a month back in 1996. So it's been 100 over the last 17 years. And we've had a lot of failures. So we've learned a lot of painful lessons from those failures, but we've had a lot of successes too. It's been a really, really rewarding experience.
Tell me, we'll get to the successes, but tell me about the failures. How does it feel when one of your companies, because they're all ideas that you have, and I'm sure you love, so how does it feel when one of those doesn't work out?
Oh, it's very painful. One idea I had for a company, it was called Aptera. It was a futuristic three-wheel car that was going to get 200 miles per gallon. And we made a prototype of it. We raised more capital. We got 4,000 orders for it online. We made 5 working prototypes to test it and crash test it. And then we weren't able to raise enough money to go into production. We needed to raise almost $100 million to be able to build a production line to start making 1,000 of them at a time. So eventually the company closed. That was so sad. We were so passionate about that idea. It really, really is a tough thing to see an idea like that not work out. And yet we were really, really happy we did it, and we pushed the technology forward, and maybe someday those ideas will still get used in some other product, and that will still make us feel good that we were able to advance technology in some way.
Let's talk about your ideas. Where do they come from? What, Are you just sitting there in traffic on the highway, and all of a sudden you're like...
That's a pretty good example. Sitting in traffic on the highway and trying to figure out how could technology fix that problem. And I pretty much go through life looking at challenges like that and say, is there some way that there could be a technical or technological solution that could actually improve this part of the world? And I love figuring out ways to do that. I mean, there are many ways to change the world, but technology is a great one. And especially if technology can be pulled or adopted by people who actually want the solution. So the challenge of looking at things that are problems in life and coming up with technological solutions and building companies around them is something I love doing. I do it all day long.
Do you have an all-time favorite, one of your favorite companies?
Well, one of our companies that was a wild success was a one called GoTo, subsequently renamed Overture, that invented a method of search advertising where it was pay-per-click, where people would bid on keywords. And that turned into a huge, huge company.
We all know where that went.
Yeah, that worked out very well.
Well, you touched upon something. Some people have said that you're sort of the grandfather of Google, or the person who invented the technology for Google. Do you take credit for that?
Well, we're really, really honored to have had a part in that. Right now, paid search accounts for a huge amount of the monetization of the internet, and we're thrilled that we were the inventor of that, and we're very proud of it.
I mean, that idea has just been done over and over now. I mean, that is the idea for the web.
I think that each new medium has special capabilities that can be taken advantage of in a unique way. And we felt that that was the ultimate way to take advantage of the internet. And similarly, I feel there are powerful new ways to take advantage of mobile as well. Now, mobile is the new thing. Mobile's taking over the world. Smartphones are taking over the world. And I'm working on a new company right now to do exactly that.
Let's talk about that company, UberAds. So you're telling me briefly how this works. Explain UberAds and how you're going to take over or change advertising on mobile with that.
Well, the dream of advertising forever has been to have one-to-one advertising. Not show the same ad to everybody, because then of course you're going to have irrelevant advertising in someone's face. You can't show the same ad to men and women. You can't show the same ad to kids and adults. You should target very, very precisely. Well, the internet allowed some of that, but the way to take advantage on the internet was to let people type in a keyword and then show them only ads related to that keyword. On the internet, you still can't know anything about the person before they type. But on a mobile device, that's completely different. The mobile device is like the passport to your life. It carries around the locations where you've been, the pictures you've taken, the social media you share. So you can figure out the intent and the personality of a person from those signals and show them just the advertising that matters to them. You can show people the right ad in the right place at the right time. Never before possible without the power of the smartphone. And Uber Media, with our new product UberAds, is building exactly that, showing people the right advertising at the right place at the right time. It's going to make people so much happier with advertising because it changes intrusive advertising into invited advertising. And that's really the holy grail.
That's the thing. Whenever we think of advertising and you say, we always imagine it from the standpoint of the company. Oh, this is great for companies. But what does it mean for the consumer? And you kind of explained it. But what does it mean to me, the end consumer, where these ads are better for me?
Yes. What it means is there's a particular movie that you might like to see. We might be able to tell that from your profile and your interests. If that movie is out and showing around the corner, when we show you an opportunity to see a trailer for that and reserve some movie seats, movie tickets for that, that's exactly what you wanted at that moment. If we show it to you at the right time, maybe on a Friday evening right before you go, or we know there's availability at a restaurant that you love around the corner, table opened up. The ability to be able to predict those kinds of things and give you stuff that's useful to you as opposed to stuff that's intrusive is a game changer. It really is going to be a big difference in the history of advertising.
So does this mean that the billboard is gone? I mean, are billboards like Times Square going to be gone?
There's still an opportunity for billboards and Super Bowl events when you want the whole world to know about your company. But to really have effective advertising, to show your message to the right person, I think this is the future.
And then the flip side is, I mean, obviously there's ad blockers, things like that. Some people don't want ads in their life. What is a world like without advertising?
Well, publishing would be really impacted because publishing is paid for through advertising. So I think people will always want to have some amount of publishing that comes to them for free. People are like, take apps for example. There are apps that you can buy. You can pay $2.99 for the app, or you can get the free version of the app. The free version is supported by advertising. The paid version is supported by paying cash. There will always be people who want both. Advertising will support a big portion of the content that's created in the world because there are some people who would rather have advertising rather than pay. And the only powerful difference is if you can make that advertising invited, then people will be happy with it.
Let's talk about the tech in your life. So what is the tech that you rely on a daily basis?
Well, I have a series of tablets covering almost every size, starting with the iPhone at that size, 4-inch screen size, up to the iPad mini, up to the iPad full, up to my laptop, and I carry them with me everywhere. And I'm always choosing the right device for the right moment. But I'm connected probably 18 hours out of every 24-hour day, looking up something, learning something, exploring something, trying to figure out what's happening in the world. And I love being connected like that. I learn so much. I learn so much from other people. I use Twitter a lot, and I'm really, really excited about the connections I've made around the world, just sharing things, and then people come back to me with so much useful information. It's really, really exciting.
Are you mad that you didn't come up with the idea for Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter is actually an idea that when I first heard about it, I thought was a really, really dumb idea. I really could not see the potential. So I feel embarrassed that I didn't see how powerful it could become because the way it connects the planet instantaneously is really, really incredible.
And it continues to evolve as well.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about some advice for other people. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, a lot of people that have ideas, and they always think like, oh, if I had the money to make that happen, or if I had, rich parents or whatever, I would do this. Is that the case?
There has never in history been a better time to be an entrepreneur. I've been starting companies for 40 years now, and I can look back at bad times. I started companies during recessions, during wars, after I graduated from college, good times and bad, during booms and during busts. But right now, why entrepreneurship is so powerful and potent is people understand it. Employees are willing to go join entrepreneurial companies. Parents understand it. I remember when I was first recruiting people when I started my company after Caltech, I used to have to go convince parents that it was okay for their children to go join an entrepreneurial company because it was so much of an aberration to do that. It's easy to raise capital. You don't need rich parents to start a company. You can take your idea now. You can go to AngelList. You can go to Kickstarter. You can go to so many places to try and find money for your idea. There are ways to start companies for so much less money that you can do it on $50,000 or $100,000. You don't need to raise millions of dollars to get started and test your idea out. So I really recommend entrepreneurship. It's such a great way to take your passion and turn it into value in the world. It's such a great way to create jobs, and it's such a great way to have an impact. I really, really recommend it. Now is a great, great time for it.
And just one more question. So I always have come from the idea that a good idea will sort of work out in the end by itself. Is that true?
Well, a good idea and good people. I would say if I look back on 100 companies and the ones that succeeded and the ones that failed, actually people mattered more than the idea. passionate people, a complementary team of people, and here's why I say that. Having a good idea is important, but almost always when your idea faces the reality of the market, it's going to have some pushback, and it's going to have to change. And if the people aren't adaptive enough to listen and see that change, then the idea will fail. But the people who are more adaptive and pay attention to the customer and really give the customer what they want, they'll succeed. Even starting off with a bad idea, they'll create a good idea out of it. So I think people matter more than the idea, and that's actually a good thing, because that means that with heart and with passion and with effort, you don't have to have the best idea in the world, you can turn it into one.
All right, Bill Gross, CEO of Idealab. How do people get in touch with you online?
Just bill@idealab.com or follow me at bill_gross at Twitter.
And do you get 1,000 pitches for ideas every day?
I get lots of pitches, so I'll do my best to answer, but I love staying in contact with many people all over the planet.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Rich DeMuro, KTLA 5 News. If you want to learn more, go to richontech.tv. Thanks for watching.